the 2019-20 Virtual Victorian Greyhound Awards. In 2019, we welcomed a new leader to the GRV board. She's been a pillar of strength for the community over the past year, and I would like to introduce GRV Board Chair Peita Duncan. Peita, welcome.
Good evening, Molly, and everybody else. I'm glad to be here.
Now, Peita, it's looking a little bit different to what we originally planned for our awards, but still we pushed on.
We have, and I think we'd all like to be at Crown having a drink and celebrating our fantastic industry, but unfortunately we can't. But the show must go on, so we're doing it virtually, as is the way to do things these days. So welcome to everyone, and I hope you're enjoying the evening.
Now, Peita, it's been a huge year for Victorian Greyhound racing, but also a big year for you being your first year as board chair. How have you dealt with everything so far?
Well, when I took this role, I didn't think I'd have to deal with some of the challenges that I'm now dealing with the board and with the executives and the GRV staff and the broader industry. We've had bushfires, canine gastro, and now obviously we're in a once in a 100-year pandemic with COVID-19. And to be honest, I think it's challenging every leader in every industry, but we're getting through it, and I never thought I'd be dealing with things like that. And also the loss of one of our beloved family members, Karen Leake, which absolutely devastated the industry. And that was personally devastating for me, myself, because I've known Karen for many, many years. So you never think that in your first year of your tenure as the chair, you're going to have to deal with those enormous challenges for the industry. But that's why I'm here, and we just push on and keep doing what we do and do it well.
Now, Peita, I know I'm not the only one in, I suppose, wanting to thank you for all the work you've put in. It's been fantastic to have someone who's so passionate in this position. So we do thank you for all the work you've done in your first year as board chair. But when you first took on this role, we spoke about the challenges, but what were some of your main aims to come out of this position for you?
Well, to be honest, Molly, I feel quite privileged and humbled to be the chair of a sport that I absolutely love. And it's no secret, I love the dogs. I always have and I always will. So it's an enormous privilege for me to be the custodian of our sport and to look after our participants, our staff, our clubs. For me, this is just a fantastic opportunity, and to grow our sport. And I think from day one, I've always said integrity and welfare are the pillars of the sport. That will never change, but we now have to focus on those commercial and promotional opportunities to grow our sport, return prize money to participants, and those sorts of, I guess, the sexy side of being in the chair role is to make this the best sport across the world, really. And I think we are the best jurisdiction. I have no shame in saying that, but to just make it bigger and better, so that once my tenure's over, I've left the sport in a really good position for the next chair and the next board that come in to take it to another level. And that's how leadership works, really. So I'm excited about that. And we've obviously, even through, COVID, the challenging times, we've done some fantastic things, I think, to start to demonstrate that that is what we are focused on.
Now, Peita, you spoke about your love of the dogs. What about the standard of Victorian Greyhounds we have at the moment? Isn't it incredible?
It's unbelievable, and those of you watching know my phrase. It's actually off its chops, I think. And some of the dogs we've got at the moment, we've got Simon Told Hallam with that Roman nose, who's known as the Nose. We've got the brothers from Gippsland, Catch the Thief and Playlist. We've got True Detective. You've got Batman Who's Back. It's just unbelievable. And Christo Bale, and we obviously there's dogs coming up the whole time that are just showcasing the sport and the magnificent athletes that they are. And Whiskey Riot winning the Melbourne Cup last year, just unbelievable, the sort of standard of dogs we have here. And we've got the best trainers, I think, as well. And so I'm really proud of our state and all of our trainers and owners and breeders. They're just doing an amazing job.
I have to agree with you there. Now, Peita, like I mentioned off the top, we've made a few changes to what our Victorian Greyhound Awards look like. But how important is it for you, for us as a sport, to be able to celebrate greyhound racing despite the year we've had?
I think it's really important that we continue to have the awards this year. we never once thought, even during, we're in stage 4 lockdown in Victoria at the moment, even during that sort of massive crisis in terms of it's escalating for the state of Victoria, you've got to be able to have some good things to look forward to and to acknowledge and celebrate all of the dogs and the trainers and the participants for the entire year. And I think people need something good to do because we've all been going a bit stir crazy, locked in our houses. And I think it was very important that we continued on to acknowledge the efforts of those people and their dogs and their owners, because they're still racing, which is fabulous. And not only that, we just talked about some of the other dogs that not only have they been stars in Victoria, but they rated Perth, New South Wales, and that made me extremely happy to bring home those purses from those other jurisdictions. And I think it's important that we just keep on doing what we would normally do, but albeit, as we said, in a really different way. Celebration is important. Whilst you've got challenges, you've still got to celebrate your successes.
Without a doubt. And we absolutely love your competitive nature, because we've certainly got the same competitive streak in us as well. Now, last question for you, Peter. Last year we had the Board Leadership Award, but this year there's been a decision to change it up a little bit. Can you talk us through that?
We have changed it up. We had a board meeting where we choose who that recipient would be, and it was unanimous with the board that, to be honest, because of the year we've had, and it's just not around the COVID pandemic at the moment, but getting through the bushfires, the canine virus, which means we lost some race meetings because we didn't have enough dogs, and now obviously the enormous effort that's gone into keeping us racing, and to my competitive nature, I just want people to remember that Victoria, and I'm very proud of the board and the executive team about this, we just held the line through the first lockdown in March until today. And we've worked very hard with our state government. I'd like to thank the Premier and the Minister for Racing for supporting us and understanding that we are low to no risk, and that has allowed us to continue to race. But even in the early days back in March and April, when we didn't know really what was going to happen, because it was new for everybody across every state in terms of industries and in terms of racing, we did not know whether we'd be able to continue to race. And what I'm particularly proud of is that we stood tall and we did not reduce our race program to regional models or take races away. We did not reduce our prize money across the board. We only reduced feature races, which we had to do, so your big cups and things. And I think the trainers were more than understanding of that. And we just kept going and tried to be 5 steps ahead in terms of protocols on track to keep us racing, so that the trainers, the dogs, the whole industry kept ticking over, and for the communities they live in as well, and for the livelihood and safety of the dogs and the trainers, and for their mental health. We just were not going to put ourselves at any risk, and we haven't done that. And I think between the participants with their dogs, Greyhound Racing Victoria, all of the staff at GRV, and the clubs, we have absolutely come together as a big family, and we have knocked this out of the park in terms of being able to continue to race the full program. But not only that, we've got 3 more extra race meetings a week. So whilst we're in crisis, we've also seen the opportunity to innovate, and we've done that. And in terms of also the first time ever in the history of racing to put our vision into the US, that is happening. So we're doing the day-to-day, managing the COVID issues and keeping things on track and making sure trainers have everything they need to not be stopped by the police and those sorts of things. But at the same time, we are still continuing on that commercial journey, albeit it's a bit different now, but we're still pushing hard on any innovation we can get. So having said that, the board were unanimous when we basically have decided that the Leadership Award this year is going to every single participant in the industry. So I just want to congratulate everybody, and that means, trainers, owners, breeders, clubs, GRV staff. Everybody is acknowledged this year by the board as the GRV Board Leadership recipients for 1920, I should say. And I'm really proud of that, and it's all about the people in the end that make your organisation or your industry great. And I think that without a doubt, we have stood up and we are shining like a beacon, even though people want to kick a Vic at the moment. but we have absolutely, I feel quite emotional about this because I'm so proud of what we've done, and the fact that we did not make any rash decisions. It was very well thought through, and we didn't take high risk, but we took some risk to make sure we could keep going, and we've done it. Continue to do it, so please keep doing what you're doing. And this is just our way from the board to acknowledge everybody in the industry, because you have shown nothing but leadership and support, and you understand what the consequences could have been for us. So I'm very proud of that. So congratulations to everybody. Keep doing what you're doing. And once we're through COVID, and I'm hoping it's at the end of the year, my plan is I will go to every single track in Victoria, just on a normal race day, not for a big event, just to go and thank the trainers personally myself at every single track.
Peter, I think it's very well deserved, and a very, very special, I suppose, hand from the board to everyone that's involved in greyhound racing. So we not only thank you for your time today in our virtual Victorian Greyhound Awards, but also for your passion and just raw emotion for everything greyhound racing in Victoria.
Thank you, Molly. I'm just doing the best I can, and we're not always going to get it all right, but I think when it's counted, you have to acknowledge that we've, as I said, everyone collectively together, we've absolutely smashed it right out of the park, and that makes me so proud of, and it shows me the future for this industry is strong.
Without a doubt, Peter, thank you so much for your time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, we'll be turning to see GRV's CEO, Alan Clayton, to reflect on a year that was. But don't forget either, we want to see you all. Make sure you post your photos to your social media, so Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, using the hashtag Victorian Greyhound Awards 2020 and hashtag VGA 2020.